So, hi everyone. Thanks for watching. This is another video. We've got a few where we've been speaking to people from all over the world around different travel experiences. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by a really good friend of mine, Kristina Dortschy. She's currently living in Germany at the moment. We've known each other for, I think, over 10 years. And really, it's just a few questions really about kind of travel experiences and living abroad. So yeah, I guess we'll get started because you've had a pretty incredible life in terms of travel and living abroad. So my first one really was just as someone who grew up in the US, North Carolina, a place I've been to a couple of times and thoroughly enjoyed. What was it that made you come to Europe, and what is it that has made you stay for so long?
Well, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so as a American and also a German, I actually the first time I came to really Europe alone was on study abroad, and I went my first time to Berlin alone. And I just made some really amazing friends from there who all happened to be not from Berlin or from Germany, but from all these other different countries across Europe as well as in South America and Asia. And, after kind of coming here in Europe specifically, I really saw that the lifestyle is a bit different. It seems that people are very genuine. Not saying Americans aren't, but yeah, no, I mean, everything just seemed, that you can kind of make your own lifestyle that fits to you
Yeah,
without anyone judging. And I think that's really what Berlin was all about. I mean, you have so many of these different districts from the east and the west. And, I was always nervous of thinking, what if I don't make friends? And, what if I can't meet other people?
mhm,
And that was never the case because there's always a place for any type of person in
yeah,
Berlin. Yeah, and then eventually, after my bachelor studies, I decided to do a master's. And one of the biggest things that I had really considered of doing actually was getting close to my grandparents. So
sure.
my father is German,
Hmm.
and he grew up in Nordrhein-Westfalen.
Yeah.
And my grandparents actually ended up settling in Bavaria, so close to the Austrian border near Salzburg.
Hmm.
And that's where I ended up studying because I thought this is an opportunity to take to really get to know my grandparents and spend time with them because back at home in the US, I had the privilege to grow up 30 seconds away from my grandparents, and I could just walk up the road and always go and see them. And I thought this is a nice way to also get to know my other grandparents from my
Yeah.
dad's side. Um, yeah, and then after studying in Salzburg, I couldn't imagine actually ever leaving. Salzburg is such a unique place,
Yeah.
actually. It's very, very small. I mean, compared to Berlin, you only
It's very
need
homely, isn't it? Yeah, it's a place you really feel like you can settle, and a lot of people know each
yeah,
other as well.
yeah,
It's more of a community, right, rather than a bigger city.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the nicest thing is you can get on a bike and literally go 45 minutes across the city
yeah,
with the bike easily. So it is kind of small, but yeah, like you said, it's really homey in its own way. And I think the other biggest attraction for me there was the mountains. I mean,
yeah,
it can't get any better than that. And over the years, Salzburg has been really growing internationally. I remember when I did start learning German and I visited my grandparents in summer, it really wasn't that common that people were speaking English unless you
yeah.
were in tourism.
Hmm.
And nowadays, everybody is speaking English, and a lot of different companies are coming about
Yeah,
where the requirement is to speak English too. And so it just became, a better and better deal.
yeah.
And I ended up saying, okay, I'll stay here. And yeah, I've been now in Salzburg, I want to say about over 7 years now, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah,
I think because one thing you mentioned obviously was, certainly with Berlin, it's very multicultural. And I think in general with Europe, you can go to a lot of different places very quickly where there's, a lot of different cultures, different foods and so on, different traditions. Because my next
yeah.
question really was sort of in terms of recommending Americans to come to Europe and what there is to see, obviously there is a lot of the multicultural stuff. A lot of Americans will have, distant family as well. But is there anything else sort of specifically that you think, we'd really recommend, or for Americans that haven't been to Europe that much? What else would you say is something that, is must see, or, a big attraction to come and visit?
Yeah, well, I mean, for everybody, I would really recommend Berlin. I mean, Berlin is absolutely filled with history and this different culture, and you can still see a bit of this East and West type of
Absolutely.
culture
Yeah.
still today, even
Quite definitely
today.
still there. Yeah.
Um, so I really recommend Berlin. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. It really can be for anybody, whether you're looking for a calm holiday or, a holiday to also just go out and have fun
Yeah.
too. Um, and then I would say for my American friends and family or anyone in the US, I think, for example, Sound of Music is a really big popular movie. And, Salzburg is known for that. I mean, it's one of the biggest tours. And I mean, even if you can't get to Salzburg, you can easily go to south of Germany
Yeah.
or to Switzerland. And, the view of the mountains, it's just something way different. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like the Rockies or the Appalachian mountains or even what's up in Canada. It's totally different and it's really breathtaking. So,
Yeah.
mainland Europe has a lot to offer, but yeah, and then we also have our typical London. I've been there a few times. I really enjoy London a lot.
Yeah.
Um, it's always nice and fun because I think a lot of the British people are really open and they're always willing to have a good time no matter what. So I really also enjoy the typical things to do in London and see a bit that culture too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one thing I always recommend, to people who certainly come to Britain is don't spend too much time in London, because there's a lot of hidden gems outside of it. And obviously,
Yeah,
I think we have a
definitely.
few offers looking at Scotland and also around the Cotswolds and other areas of the UK where you really get that proper kind of British feel, rather than sort of paying over the odds for sort of average fish and chips in London. You might.
Yeah.
There's definitely so much to see, I think, around the rest of the island. But no, that's great. Obviously, I know you've done a huge amount of travel in the last sort of 10, 15 years. And really, my next question was actually a more general one, is what has been your most enjoyable or most memorable trip experience to date?
Oh, that's a hard one. So, I managed to go with a former company of mine to Africa,
Mhm.
to Tanzania,
Yeah.
and I think this was really interesting for me. It was definitely a huge culture shock of how people are there, but this, yeah, everybody was so beyond welcoming
Yeah.
and wanting to show different things and really show the culture. And I really love that. I mean, like, the biggest thing for me that is the way I love to travel has
Mhm.
to do with culture. I
Yeah.
mean, the sightseeing and everything is a must as well. But, I really have seen from my travel habits that I tend to try to find people who have lived for a very long time in that area or are from
Absolutely.
that area,
Yeah.
because I think that's the best way to really get to know any destination.
Definitely.
And I was working on a project with the Arusha Technical College,
Yeah.
and there were all these different professors, and I got to meet different people and got to hear crazy stories. So, for example, one of the professors, his son was or it still is a guide for Kilimanjaro. So
Nice.
he's doing his own traveling there, working
Yeah.
with different agencies to do group tours like that. And
Yeah.
then I got to meet some other female professors too, who were, showing the markets and also the different fashion. And, it's kind of similar to this South American culture with the colors and everything. And it's
Yeah.
just so bright. And so I think that was a very memorable experience for me. But when it comes to a private private travel of one of my favorite destinations, I would probably have to say, oh, that's such a crazy one to think about. Actually, I would have to say it would be Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you remember
Remember very well.
our
Yeah.
our
I
famous
enjoyed
our
it.
famous our car trip between Switzerland, France, and Italy.
Yeah. Very
Um,
enjoyable. Yeah.
so yeah, Switzerland had always been on one of my destination lists, and especially going to the mountains. And yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, you know, I think I'm more of a nature over city person when it comes to traveling as well. And yeah, I mean, it just doesn't get better than that,
Yeah, the
It's
views are absolutely spectacular. As you say,
yeah,
there's mountain ranges all over the world. You've got the Rockies, the Appalachian, the US, but there's something about Switzerland, the Alps up there, and the views is just so
yeah,
spectacular. It's yeah, it's just so vast as well. It keeps going on and on, but it's yeah, I agree. It was a very very memorable trip, and yeah, well worth it. Absolutely. No, that's cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, there's one final question, really. Again, it's quite a general one, but where would you like to go next, and why?
Oh, wow. I haven't even, yeah, unfortunately, I haven't thought so much about that with
Yeah.
COVID. Well, actually, it would be Peru. So
Yeah.
I was originally born there in Lima,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was actually planned to go at the end of this month, beginning of November, but with Corona times nowadays, that got canceled immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go there because fortunately we've had contact to our biological family still there.
Yeah.
Uh, but not only that, surprisingly, with the current political situations going on across the world, it's really allowed me to reflect on who I am as a person. I've kind of grown up with this American lifestyle with hints of German lifestyle in
Absolutely.
there, and I've gotten to have a lot of friends from South America too, and now I really am trying to see, what my biological family, um, what type of history they have as a family. And, I was always told, for example, that I'm Quechua, which is an indigenous group in
Yeah.
South America. It's known in Ecuador and Peru, and I think also Chile. And so, I really would love to get to know that type of culture, and yeah, and just visit. I mean, there's also the typical things I want to see, which is like Machu Picchu and
Yeah.
I think Arequipa,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think again this is all in the in the mountains and
Yeah.
everything, and I really enjoy hiking, and I think something like this that combines interests of mine right now and my
Absolutely.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Peru is definitely on one of my lists, but in terms of Europe, I'm not quite sure. I should think about it because I actually have holidays coming up in 2 weeks.
Well, there you go. You've got
So,
plenty of choice. Well, I say that. I
yeah,
mean, there's some restrictions, of course, still, but that the list
yeah.
slowly kind of growing of countries that you can kind of travel to
Yeah,
without
it's
restrictions.
going up and down. I mean, luckily with Corona and currently right now because of my job, I am living in Germany in Essen.
Yeah.
So I managed to go to Belgium and a part of Netherlands and even to a part of Luxembourg as well. So, even with Corona as a solo traveler, I managed to go and do a couple of things on my own and, still be aware of what's currently going on with the health situation.
Yeah.
But I think, I really would love to go back again to South Tyrol
Yeah.
in Italy.
Mhm.
You have the Dolomites there, you have some lakes there. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's already a bit too cold, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's a nice place to do a wellness vacation and relax.
Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and since I've been up here on a project, I kind of think it's well deserved.
I think it is. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic. Well, yeah, fingers crossed that travel restrictions begin to ease, and certainly, hopefully you can still get to go on that Peru trip at some point soon. It sounds like you've
Yeah.
got an amazing mixture of things lined up to do there. So Yeah, well, thanks so much again for your time. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll continue to have more discussions with people, contacts all over the world, and have more travel discussion, which hopefully will inspire more of you. So yeah, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, and yeah, we'll have some more content for you very, very shortly. Thanks.
Thank you.